Alright, let's go here for a second. I want to jump over to Romans 11. Now, when we're talking about this distinction here between people who call themselves enemies of the Jews, and look at the book of Romans, Romans will be heavily used to condemn the Jewish people. However, they're not really actually reading or understanding what is being wrote here. Keep in mind, this is Paul talking. Paul is in fact a Jew himself. Now, when Paul is making the distinction here between Jews and Gentiles, what he's saying is that he's not saying that the Jews have been forsaken by God. He's saying that, no, the promises that were made to the Jews have now been given to the Gentiles as well. That does not mean that the Jews have been replaced. They take it as the Jews have been replaced. However, if we go to Romans 11 here, and even the title of this says, Israel's rejection not holy. That's what the byline here says. I don't know what Bible you guys are reading, but most of you probably read exactly like this. Here's what it says in Romans 11, 1 and 2. Then I say, has God cast away his people? Question mark. Certainly not. For I also am an Israelite, the seed of Abraham, and the tribe of Benjamin. Now it's very important to label this here because, as we all know, that during the Old Testament times, Israel was split into two different nations, one of Israel, one of Judea as well. And there's an argument here from certain people who refer to the Jews who say that, well, when we're talking about Israelites, those people weren't truly Israelites because they were essentially from the other tribe. Well, Paul here is making the estimation. It's like, not only am I an Israelite, I am the tribe of Benjamin as well, which completely debunks the whole narrative about, them being two separate tribes, and one of these tribes aren't really truly Jews. So here it says, it continues, it says, God has not cast away his people for whom he foreknew. So once again, he's telling you, God has not cast away the Jews. Or do you not know what the scripture says of Elijah and how he pleads with God against Israel? And like I said, we're talking about the nation of Israel. What so many people will do is that we'll talk about replacement theology or covenant theology. If you look at the references towards Israel in the Old Testament, it makes it clear it's talking about a physical land is occupied by God's people. What people who believe in replacement or covenant theology will say is that, no. See, the church was always Israel, that the believers of God were always Israel. So when they're talking about Israel, they're talking about us. And if you read the Bible, it's a very clear distinction, even in the book here of Romans, that many of these people use against the Jews and against the nation of Israel. They will use this to say that, no, you guys don't have a place.